We've hit the second week of April and it's time to get more things in the ground, and this week it's time for our glorious potatoes. As always, when we are growing our own, it really pays to know your growing space extremely well. And that's no exception for when it comes to our potatoes, as well as other varieties. Now, at this end of my top plot last year, I actually had my squashes in this bed and the one sort of joining on the other side of the squashes tunnel. However, I'm right by the hedge, which means it does get a lot of shade, and that's no good for squashes whatsoever. However, what will tolerate it to a certain extent are potatoes. They do like full sunlight, but a little bit of dappled shade during the day will not do them any harm. And for that very reason, I'm actually going to be sowing my potatoes, my seed potatoes, in this bed and the other one as well, because they will get the light, but not as much as is needed for my squashes. So very simply, I have got my first, my second and my main crop. I have gone this year for my Pentland Javelin, which I always absolutely love, my Wilger, I have Charlotte, and then for my main crop I have got Pentland Dell, which I've not tried before, so I'm really excited about this. Now, when we're looking at our potatoes, they are a part of the tomato family. They are nightshades, and they have the similarity in the fact that you have determinates and you have your indeterminates. Now, most of mine are actually my determinates, which means that they will sort of grow out sideways, except for my Pentland Dell, which are actually my indeterminates, which, very similar to tomatoes, will actually sort of grow up the stalk. It does mean that when it comes to my Pentland Dell, I'm going to be able to sort of have a little bit less space around them, because they're going to be growing sort of vertically rather than horizontally. If you are planting into buckets, I'd actually really suggest you go for those determinates, those sideways ones, but obviously don't put too many in a bucket. So very simply, I am going to go no dig again on these this year, because they worked so well last year, and it saves actually building a lot of those trenches, as well as being really good for our soil. So all I'm going to do is take my dibber and I'm going to just dib a nice deep hole, probably down to the handle of my dibber itself, and then I'm going to go about 30 centimetres in a nice row, because we are on allotment, and then do exactly the same. And I'm going to keep on going for a nice row. Now, because I don't use horse manure, I'm not a fan of it, or cow manure, I'm going to use chicken pellets. It does the same thing, adds some nutrition into the soil, and I'm just going to drop some of those into the holes. Next thing is, of course, to get our seed potatoes. Now, these have been chitting. I've got some nice little growth in these already, and as I drop them into the hole, I'm going to make sure that those chits are facing upwards, and that's it. Now, the next thing I need to do is, I'm not going to cover this over with the soil or the loam that's in the ground at the moment. This is where I'm going to get my peat-free compost, and I'm just going to almost start off the earthing up process by going over this whole row once they're actually in, and then just water them. As we go into the season, we start to see some of that growth come up. I then just need to top it up and top it up. Watch out for any of those frosts as well, because if we do get any frost and you have some foliage showing, it could actually scorch your foliage. One thing you can do, if it's a sudden one and you start to panic, is actually just cover it over with a bit of cardboard, and that will keep your foliage safe. So our first earlies, if you haven't got them in already, get them in. Our second, and definitely time for our main crop. And I'm going to be looking forward, hopefully, to another bumper harvest of potatoes this year.